You're listening to Expat Radio, your worldwide friend.
Right, we're going live to Christine this morning. After clock during the morning there.
Oh, Charles, sing it.
Hey, hey.
The thing I can't forget. Maybe the one I've got in bed.
Oh, my goodness.
Morning,
Dave,
hi.
that song.
What? What about it?
Well, I was like, wait, this isn't like the pump you up, like get you like jamming song this morning.
No, I'm in a romantic mood today. You know when you've got one of those days where you just think, I feel a bit, one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought, what with the melanin and all that carry on, I thought, calm down. I need an ice bucket. I need an ice pack.
Yeah.
On all these love songs and everything, it's like, oh, flipping heck, we're going to have a baby boom by about 3:30 this afternoon here.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. So, Dave, Matt, Dave.
Morning, Matt. How are you, pal?
Good morning, Dave. I'm very, very well, thank you. I've just finished a nice morning workout, so I couldn't be better.
Quality. Why? Where are you today? Where are you based?
Actually based in, and I suppose you would know, wouldn't you? Because is it Manchester you're from?
Yeah. I'm in Manchester on Sea.
So we're just a little bit lower than Guildford in a place called Petersfield.
Oh, no, it will. No, it will.
Yeah,
Been there.
it's a tiny little place. You drive through it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. It's not like where I was. You basically. It's like it's like one of these fun fair. When you go on these fun fair, these fairgrounds in a lot of places in the UK. Around Manchester now, you dodge bottles being thrown at you when you're in a car, and it's you basically have to get in a car with a helmet on.
It's actually been a while since I've been to Manchester, but from what I remember, I'm going to side with the people in Manchester that it is what I just can confirm it is what they've said.
Yeah, it's.
Wear your flak jacket, right?
Oh my God! Yeah, you have to write your will before you go out. You have to just confirm that everything's up to date before you go out of the house.
Mm-hmm. You got all your belongings, all of that.
Yeah, everything's right and rain and sorted, and you just check you've got everyone. If you've got all the family written out here that I should have, make sure they've all got the equal amounts, and then right, we're going for bread. I'll be back in a bit, hopefully, for bread and milk. I want me long one.
Well, this is good to know. So when I come and visit, that's someplace I probably will avoid.
No, you don't want to go there. There's nothing to sightsee in Manchester. Only United. You go to the United's ground, you'll be all right. That's the safest place in the world because everyone's miserable as hell at the moment the way we're playing. But if you go outside the ground.
Christine, you'll be safe in Petersfield, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
get to there. You'll love it there. Trust me, you'll love it. You'll turn up in your bikini and you'll be like, how good is this? You won't want to leave.
Oh, gosh. So let me tell you how I met Matt.
Go on then.
I met Matt probably like a year ago on social media, and Matt was doing some fitness and nutrition stuff on this really amazing Facebook page, and he asked the question, something along the lines of, what is your greatest challenge, or what is your most important question you want to ask about fitness and nutrition? And I thought, I'm going to ask this dude, see what happens. And so I just asked him a question about overtraining, and the thought that he put through this post that he responded, I was like, oh, this guy's got it going on. He's like making a connection with me, and he's answering my questions, and it just started from there. And then he did this challenge called the 5 a.m. Club. I don't know if you remember that, Matt.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah, it's a club, and I'm up. I'm going to be part of this club. And it really propelled me into doing some really amazing things and connecting with some really amazing people along the way, which the last few last few weeks, all the people that have been on, you are actually the catalyst for the connection from a year ago. So I met you, and then I met Lewis, and then I met Ryan, and then I met, Zach and Luke and JJ. So it's just like this progression of amazing connection. I thought, you and I have been talking about you coming on the radio for weeks, and it's finally happened. Woo! So now you're here. And so tell us a little bit about you. What's Matt all about?
Yeah, cool. I've been thinking about how to answer this question. And I obviously, up until this year, I hadn't ever really shared my story for multiple reasons, but I'm going to share just like a brief overview of a little bit about me, because then people are actually going to kind of get to know me.
Okay.
So just over 18 years ago, life was pretty normal. I was always living in council estates. I'm sure Dave knows a few of those. So we never really had like a good upbringing, never had anything of quality, never had any luxuries or anything like that. And to make matters worse at the time, my older brother went out and murdered somebody. And I was 10 years old at the time. And that kind of moved my whole family into a series of catastrophic events. So we had to have our names changed. We had to change location. We were put into witness protection for 2 years. So I had 2 years out of school at that point. And basically just completely turned my life and my whole family's life completely upside down. We were always a relatively dysfunctional family anyway. We weren't, a typical family, I guess. We were always relatively dysfunctional, but that just then made it 100 times worse. And then over the years, from like kind of getting back into school, I felt quite recluse and quite awkward. I was quite an awkward kid and nobody knew. So, I had basically kept that a secret for many years in school. Mm-hmm. And when I left school, it was kind of a chance for me to, I thought this is an opportunity for me to step into and be a new person, and no one's going to know me from in college as they did in school. So this is my chance to really, step out of being the quiet, weird kid and be, someone else. Unfortunately, and I think this happens to a lot of people when they go through college or high school, I actually ended up on this side of the fence taking drugs and partying. So, and I think that, again, even today on reflection, that is more than likely because of the events that had happened previous in my life. Like, that was always a destined path for me, if that makes sense. So basically into college at age 16, all the way through to around 21, I was pretty much just a drug addict, low life, mixing with the wrong people. I was one of the wrong people. So, and my life really was not going anywhere. And eventually, just to sum this kind of story up, eventually what happened was I had a bit of an epiphany one day. I was reading through a newspaper with my mum. And she was flicking the pages trying to find me a job, right? And she said, I can't have another son in prison, and I certainly don't want one dead. You've got to start making some changes. And the first place we're going to start is you're going to stop selling drugs and you're going to get yourself a job. And I remember being this kind of this 21-year-old alpha male, I'm not having a job, like I can make money doing, drug dealing. And I was, stiff upper lip about it. And we flicked through the pages, and the last page she turned, there was a job going as part of the government funded scheme for boxing. So they actually put you through the qualification to become a tutor, and then you were able to deliver a GCSE equivalent grade in schools with kids. And that literally was the catalyst of change for me at that point in my life. Like, it just kind of over a period of time, it weaned me off of drugs because I was getting a different high from the working out. And that's why, Chris, fitness was such a huge part of my life at that point, because it really did change. The fork in the road for me when we were looking through that newspaper was prison or dead. And that's literally the solutions that were sat in front of me to my life. It was either you're going to die by taking too many drugs or being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you're going to go to prison. And really, that was the real catalyst for me. So that absolutely changed everything. And for the last so I'm 28 now, turning 29 soon. And for the last 6-7 years of my life, it's been the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So growth mindset and personal development, and really growing into the person I am today.
Amazing. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the last few years of your life and what's been going on. But we're going to go out to Sia Deja Vu. Here.
Live to Chris and to Matt this morning. Back in Matt's in the UK, sunny UK this morning.
What a fun song.
Isn't it nice that?
I like it.
Isn't it nice that? It's better than Bananarama.
Well, yeah. I'm a Bananarama fan, though.
Are you?
Yeah.
You need that. You need melatonin, Gil.
I need something, Dave.
Up the dose.
I know.
There you go.
Get the big tablets. Get the paper. The big paper plates you can get for parties.
Yes.
Get that size of the tablet. That'll work wonders. Flipping it, you'll be off like a rhino.
Oh my gosh.
Your other half won't know what's hitting me first thing in the evening. Fancy an early night, love? No? Well, so far I do. Get here now. Straight in that bed. Anyway, back to yourselves. Well, I just go and have a lie down.
We're back with Matt Burbridge today, and so Matt, I want to just kind of talk a little bit about, how past experiences sort of shape us today. We've heard that. I've heard you say that. I've said that. We've heard a lot of people say that. So over the last, 4, 5, 6, 8 years, how has your life changed from that day sitting with your mom to today?
It's a tough question, actually. It's a good question, really good question. I was actually speaking to someone about this the other day, that he asked me if there was one kind of defining moment, and although the time when I was sat with my mum going through the paper, that was a moment, for me to make the series of changes that I needed to make to be who I am today, it's been like a collective amount of different epiphanies at different times. I think that's the same for a lot of people, but we always like to try and define it as being this one moment, But I think, honestly, for a lot of people, it's just continuous. Like, we keep having these epiphanies or these enigmas, and it leads us to make the changes that we need to make. I think I wrote a piece of content about the tipping point. So, that's basically like a series of events or things that happen enough to the point where it becomes too much, where we have to make changes. Like, it needs to become so many of these small things that build up before we make this huge change, or it's just such a massive thing that happens that we make that change. And for me, it was just a series of things, just a massive series of them.
Right. So in your piece of content, when you write that, how do you decide what you want to put out for people?
Oh, at the time, like it's not like I know a lot of people, a lot of content creators, what they do is they schedule a lot of their content, so they write and then they write and they write and then they store it, they archive it and then they release it. But for me, like I've always naturally been pretty good at writing. So I'll tell you a quick story, right? When I was in school, and that's like how long I've been pretty good at writing. I'm only talented at maybe 2 things. One of them is art, and the other thing is writing. So it's both creative. I was really good at basketball at one point, but I would say that was just hard work instead of talent. So when I was in school, we had to write a novel for our mock exams. I'm not sure what they'd be called over in the States, but Dave will know. They're the mock exams, right, in year 10. And
my God, don't even go there with that, Matt. I couldn't write to save my life, me.
How many years ago was that for you as well?
Oh, 85. 85, I was doing an exam. The thing was, like you're saying you were good at art. I was great at art, but I was colourblind. And when you do a landscape scene for your art exam, for your O-level, and I do hills in brown, it doesn't look good. And,
no.
And how I managed to pass, even though the teacher said to me, "You've done the hills in brown, Aylward. Why are they in brown?" I was like, "Well, what do you mean? It's green." And I got away with it. I passed, but I mean, that's what I.
You had a legitimate reason.
Oh, legitimate wasn't the reason. Anything else that was involved in colours was a nightmare. Anyway, back to yourself.
So what it was we had to do this short novel. We were assigned to do like a short novel, and I wrote this novel that was. I haven't shared this before actually, Chris. I'm thinking of putting this into some content soon.
Cool.
But basically, I wrote this really, really astonishing novel, and the teachers actually accused me of plagiarism. Said that it was actually from a computer game. And I had to fight them on that and say, like, no, honestly, this is just my creative writing skills.
Yeah.
So I was like a young lad and I think the reason why I was pretty good at that is because, again, with past experiences, it gave me like a view on life that not many people would have had at that point. But basically with content, it just kind of comes to me. Like I will be able to sit in front of my MacBook and just write. And that's why I'm writing a book at the moment in between clients and doing other things and other projects. I'm writing my first ever book.
That's fantastic. I think, it's interesting because I do notice that sometimes some of your content and your posts are very much in the moment. Like this morning when I wake up and there's a post from you and I think the first line is just don't cuss. And that was about, coming on the radio with us. And it's like you have this ability to take something that's going on with you and share it with the world and make a difference. I mean, is that what you're doing, or are you just being you, doing you? Like, let's just put it out there.
Well, I know. So I'm massive on. What I do with a lot of my clients is I get them to talk I get them to be as authentic as possible. And if that means being polarizing, then great, because usually it does. The more authentic you can get, the more polarizing you become. So you'll have people on either side of the fence, right? So people are either going to love my content, or they're really going to hate my content. But I'm not trying to make them do either. I'm just showing up every day to put my content out in the way that I normally would. So, there was a picture like a week ago where I posted a picture of my butt on social media. Yes, Dave, yes. I did just say my butt on social media. Right, literally as the picture for the content, I posted a picture of my butt, and that was because I did that in real life. Like, I was out for a walk with my partner, and she took a photo of me with my butt out in the woods, and I posted that. But if I hadn't have posted it, that's not me being authentic, right? So. Right. My content isn't for anybody specifically. Obviously, it can be angled towards a specific target market, but I write it just as authentically as I can. So that's just how I've shown up on social media. And for me, the thing is, before I did that, I was trying to write content for people specifically. And there's been a huge spike in my engagement and in my brand itself. Like, my business is, tripled in the time that the more authentic I've dug and become, the more my business is growing.
That's awesome. So we're going to go to another little break, and when we come back, I want to talk about authenticity, and we're going to go out with Shawn Mendes, Nervous.
Very much like myself. Oh, there was nothing worse than when I chatted girls up when I was a kid. I didn't chat them up. I didn't know how to.
Dave.
What?
We have to get him on the radio. He is like my new favorite artist.
Who is?
Shawn Mendes.
Oh, right. Well, when you look at a singer and you think, yeah, he's someone's like a superstar, the perfect picture kind of thing. He looks nothing like it. He looks like a cricketer or something, doesn't he, with his hair and everything? He just doesn't look like how he comes across when he's singing.
Yeah, he looks really young. Looks really, maybe he is really young. I don't know, but
he's been on the melatonin.
Like one of my new favorites.
He's been on the melatonin, I think. That's what it is.
He probably makes enough naturally because he's so young.
Well,
That's what happens about that, when we get older, Dave.
Yeah, well, now that me and you are past it, I've got bingo this afternoon at 3 o'clock. What are you doing?
I'm crocheting this afternoon.
Nice. If I knew what it was, I'd love it. I'd join you. Does that involve having to dress up or not? What does it?
It's like knitting. It's like sewing.
Yes, I know.
I know.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Matt. This happens.
That's all right.
We're back with Matt. And so you were just talking about being authentic and showing up and showing your butt to the world. So what does authenticity mean to you?
Literally that. It's about, holding nothing back about who you are or what you've been through. I think that's massively important because a lot of people, what they do is, and there's probably be a question you were bound to ask, is about possibly what I would do with kind of like my clients is get them to do it, like show up authentically and just be them. But one of the major points to it all is to make sure that you speak about your past, because I know the difference between doing that and not doing that. So for 18 plus years, I held that back. And what that done was it actually stopped me from being able to develop as a person. It stopped me from being able to show up how I want to in life. And for me to get to the next level, it was like necessary for me to share more of my story. So one of the ways to really get super authentic is to be able to show up as you are and also be able to talk openly about your past. So a lot of people don't want to because they're embarrassed, right? They're embarrassed of some of this stuff, like I thought people were going to judge me for so many years, and rightfully so, because when it all happened, I was being judged. I did get called a murderer. I was a 10-year-old boy with the spray paint up the side of the house. We had to have the windows and doors boarded up and a panic button in the house. So I had that previously, so I assumed that people were going to do that today. And that wasn't the case at all. So for me, authenticity is just showing up as you are as a human being, and being open about your past and being able to share that with people.
Yeah. So like the last few weeks, we've had a couple of people on, and Coach JJ was one of them. And he has this nonprofit called Depression to Extinction. And one of their things is your story matters. Everyone has a story and yours matters. And so that fits right along with, sort of the theme. And so how did you decide, like, was there like a moment when you thought, okay, I know I have to share this and this is how I'm going to do it?
I was inspired to share it by somebody else. So it was actually Lewis. Mm-hmm. That connection with Lewis was great for both of us at that point in our life. We both helped each other with certain things, but one of the major things he helped me with was, it was just digging a bit deeper, and he just said, you got to share it, man. What good is it going to do to the world if you keep it to yourself? And what good is it going to do for you, So it was actually external. Somebody externally kind of pulled that out of me. Took a lot. It took a lot. Mm-hmm. It took a huge amount. And even right up to when I shared it, I fell out with my mother because of it. And we stopped speaking because obviously she didn't want the story to be aired. She didn't want it to come out. She was actually one of the main reasons why I held it back for so many years, because even I had felt the urge to speak about it over those 18 years. But we were always told, like, don't speak about it in case people come and get us. And what would you feel like if that happened? And so there was a lot of I would say emotional. There was a lot of emotional control going on, I guess. Like, it made me feel like I couldn't speak about it. But when I met Lewis, I had that from one end of the fence. It was him saying, like, come on, dude, you got to do this. You got to just share it with people. And, that really helped me do it. So for me, it was just completely external. And now I'm so grateful that I did, because the amount of people that I've helped through sharing my story has been incredible.
Right. So I remember you and I having a conversation right around that time when you were like, I am going to share my story, and I'm going to share it with you because you don't live here. Like, you live across the world. And I felt safe doing that. So, like, when you're sitting with Lewis or, your clients, and that they have a story and they have something to share, like, how do you inspire them to say it? Even starting with you.
Do you know what? A lot of people don't actually know they've got a story. I play devil's advocate to that question, because a lot of people don't realise they do. A lot of people undervalue their story. So I've heard from a lot of my clients, people say, oh, well, why would anyone be bothered about that? Why would anyone care about that? But that's just the point. Like, the more you dig and the more you find out, the more breakthroughs you have with clients, you eventually find, like, everybody has a story. Every single one of us has a story. It's whether or not that story is ultimately massively compelling is a different thing, right? Because not everybody's going to experience their brother killing somebody at that age and going through what I went through. That's what makes it unique. To other people, that story is so extreme that it's, it wouldn't even come into their mind, whereas somebody else might, and it's still just as relatable, someone else might have just lost their job, and that might have created a domino effect of other events in their life that really, really had, just as equal stress and stuff on the person going through that. So you just don't know. It's all about just digging down and digging deep with these people to find out more and more about them, and the closer you get to the more you do that, the closer you get to figuring out what their story is and how you can kind of put that together for them.
Right. And how does your mindset coach, how does that fit into that?
So I actually deliver mindset mentoring. And the reason I call it mentoring is because I mentor through my clients through my experiences. So that not that has been passed through a course which I've done, but through my own experiences in life. So, and I think that's ultimately the most powerful anyway. And if I couldn't help somebody with something, I'd turn people away, But it definitely does come into it, especially with what I do with online clients and helping people build online businesses, because you need to understand that a lot of everything that we do is to do with mindset, everything.
Right. And I know that, that if you can remember back to the first time that I ever watched you do a Facebook Live, and you were like, oh, I haven't done this for a while, or wow, this is like, I'm messing with my hair. Like, all these things were happening, and I was like, oh, that scares me to death. Like, I could never do that. And you're like, you have to. You have to do that. And I was like, no, I'm good. And you inspired me to do my first Facebook Live, and now look at me.
You'd love it, and you rock it. And that's the thing about mindset is that, like, all it's trying to do, all our minds are trying to do is keep us safe, right? It's just trying to keep us in our comfort zone where we feel good, where we feel like we can't be hurt. But the problem with that is that there's no growth there, because growth only occurs when you experience some sort of pain. And
right.
For me, even doing a Facebook Live for the first time on my Facebook page, my personal page, that was growth. I really didn't want to do it. I actually bottled it probably 7 or 8 times for 3 weeks. I kept on setting everything up. I was getting right to the point, writing a caption, and then just going, I'll do this tomorrow.
Right.
But when I finally did it, I actually felt growth occur. I felt like I developed in some way. And that's the same with everything with mindset, whether it's a limiting belief around money. Like once you break through these things, you just realize that everything else is possible. In my book, it's similar to do with our vision and how we create our vision, but I call it visionary expansion. And that goes hand in hand with the mindset, because the more you feel like you can achieve, the more you do it and you start to take steps closer to it, it becomes more fathomable for you. Everything else becomes possible. The things that we didn't think it's so easy and so simple. And now, like you with Facebook Lives, it's just, you can do it at any point, right?
Right. Absolutely. So we're going to take another quick break, and it looks like Dave has gotten you some Rod Stewart, didn't I?
Hey.
Single. I dig it.
Oh, many a time I've wished to forget.
I love Rod Stewart.
Lovely, isn't he?
Fantastic.
If I look like that when I'm 73, still kicking a ball about on a football pitch at his house, the mad nutter.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Well, it looks like Matt's not on with us yet, so...
Has he disappeared?
He may have disappeared. He's at the gym, working out, doing some jiu-jitsu, all that kind of stuff.
Is that like origami? I've seen some lovely origami when I've been to some of these festivals that you go to. It's lovely. You have lovely stalls set up and everything. You get it's like, these dream catchers.
Yes.
How much
you weave it?
Oh, I don't know what you do with it, but the price of them is ridiculous. Have you seen how much they charge for those things when they've finished making them? I mean, some of them are tiny and some of them are enormous. And I'm thinking, why do you need something like that in your house? I mean, it's just all... It's like a cloth wind chime. Isn't it?
It's giant.
Well,
they're giant.
I know, but why would... I don't see the... I get it, but then again, I don't get it, why some people have them.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, there's some sort of tradition about them that I don't really remember or recall, but I remember seeing them at, like, you're right, like festivals and craft fairs, and you hang them over your bed, and, like, I don't know, like, maybe you want to catch your dreams, maybe you don't.
No, I think what it is, you're supposed to hang on to it. That's the idea. While there's all sorts going on in through the night, you get a grip of this thing and you, hey! So it's a lot safer. So yeah, there was a thing in the paper the other day. I don't know whether you saw it. A woman that was paralysed because she'd been having over the top sex and got catapulted out of the bed. And I'm thinking, how on earth? She fired out of a cannon or something. What was going on there?
That's crazy.
I know. Mental.
That's insane. Speaking of, like, I heard of somebody like losing their mind from all night sex, like literally losing their memory. Like, how crazy is that?
Really? But,
yeah.
Depends who you're with. You might have wanted to forget it all at the end of it, but that was why. You're thinking, never ever again. I know, you think, what have I done? I don't want to remember that. And it's just gone right out of your head. You're never to be brought back again.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if I'm not sure what happened with Matt's connection.
We've tried connecting him again. He should be back on now. You there yet, lad? Well, I'll tell you what. Should we go to music and you try and connect back with him?
Sounds good. Thank you, Dave. We'll catch you in a bit.
And I'll go and have a lie down.
Okay.
I think we'll play a bit of this. Is he back on? Oh, he's back on in a minute. He's got internet issues. Internet issues. You know what it's like. Wind, rain, fog. All affects the blooming internet. It's a nightmare here. I don't know what it's like in the States, but France, you're lucky you got running water and gas here. Right, we're going back to Christine this morning. And won't you give
Hello.
me your love? Yes, we're having a problem, aren't we, with the internet, with Mr.
Yes. Mr. Burbridge's internet has failed, and that is just sad.
Well, it's not a problem. Not a problem. We can get him back on another time, can't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we can. I do want to tell people where they can follow him because he's pretty amazing, and he's at Matt Burbridge on Instagram. I'm sorry, at Matthew.Burbridge on Instagram, as well as Matthew Burbridge on Facebook, or his new page called Impact Movement. You can follow him there. He's got some pretty awesome content. He's writing his book. It's going to be fantastic. I've seen his writing. And if you are looking for some mindset coaching, he is top notch. So he's pretty amazing.
Very good.
So, yeah. Well, thank you, Dave, for having us on today. And
well, you can keep talking to me. Tell me what you're doing this week. Come on, don't be a boring buggy. You don't have to go anywhere, do you? It's the middle of the night there. I know you want to get back to bed, but, I've got a job to do here. I've got 70-odd thousand people I'm trying to entertain, and you're finished.
Yeah, we can't do that. Okay, well, so here's what's happening this week. I am doing some projects in my day job. I don't know if people really know that about me. So I have a day job as well, and so I do project management for local government. And so we're doing some projects and doing some planning like that. But the cool thing is, maybe I should tell you and everyone about what's happening in January. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, Ryan Hartley was on, and he's like my brother, and he suggested, like, I bring all these amazing people on for the world to hear, and I get to share them. And he's like, what about you? When do we get to hear about you and you get to share your story? So in January, he's going to come on with me. I know that's kind of far away, but not really. And he's going to, we're going to reverse roles, and he's going to interview me. So everyone gets to...
how good is that going to be? You're going to be tied up and blooming... Well, I'm not even going there. Awesome. I'm trying to stop myself from saying...
I'm like...
Yeah. I was trying to tie my tongue. I was biting down on my tongue like a stick.
No, it's going to be awesome. I have, just like I was talking with Matt, I have a story, and my story matters, and people don't know my story. And sometimes a little frightening as it is to share those stories, it's like Matt said, it's really important to share them because you could inspire someone. And so, thinking about all the people that I bring on and why I want them to come on and share them is because they do have inspiration. And, the other person that I want to bring on the show actually is you, because I feel like you have a story that people probably want to hear as well. So I'm going to make you think about that for a little bit too.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
I'll tell you what I was watching last night. It was a program about UFOs that, there's a place called Hangar 1, this building, that's got all these files of UFO crashes on Earth that have basically been covered up. And it was one of the most extraordinary things I've watched. And there was a crash in 1897 in Texas, right, near where you are, that happened, and the alien is buried. They buried the alien, bless him, with a headstone, and all there is on a headstone is a where they've scratched like a UFO on the actual headstone to mark where the burial is.
Really?
Yeah, and I
kind of feel like this is a movie.
You didn't know about this, did you? And it's in a paper. Apparently, it's in this paper, this cutting that they found of this reported crash. Obviously, back then, nobody knew what the hell one of these things was, and they just said that this unidentified object had come down out of the sky and crashed, and the person inside was mutilated and unrecognisable, and an unearthly being inside it, they said. And they took him out and buried it. So
we might need to find that. We might need to go on an expedition.
Yeah, well, if you dig out this paper, if you Google this, obviously this written story of what came out in 1897 of this recorded crash, then it was, and then obviously that's the oldest recorded history of a crash, you see, of a UFO crash. And then they've got then throughout the years, they've got all these other things that have happened, and things where a crash happened in Mexico and the Mexican army went to it, and 4 soldiers died instantly when they went to recover the craft and the people in it, or the aliens in it. And then one guy, something happened in New York, and it was like an animal. They thought it was an animal, but it was like these 2 beings, these 2 aliens, had got loose in New York, or I think it was New York, or somewhere in the outskirts of New York. And this recorder, no, it wasn't New York. It was another town in America somewhere. But anyway, this guy approached this thing that he thought it looked like an animal, and as he got near it, he'd gone to approach it because it was half dead. And the next thing, it kind of scratched at his arm, and 3 weeks later he was dead because he had all these infections inside him that were never known on Earth.
Wow. There's so much in this universe that we don't know about.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Weird, isn't it?
That's what we'll do next year, Dave. We'll go on expeditions and find cool things and then talk about them.
Yeah, and you want me to give my story? You got to be kidding.
I do want you to give your story. No, I think what's really cool is, like, so just think about it. Like, we can talk offline, but just think about this. Like, you have an amazing life with all the things that you've done. I mean, you have a radio station. Like, you're Dave Halewich. You're, like, radio station guy. Like, how does this happen? And so, like, that story, I think people would be interested in hearing. So we can chat about that.
Right, I'll take some sedatives and I'll sit down and I'll put a flannel on my head and we can have a conference about that one.
Why do you have to take sedatives, Dave?
Oh, once I start, you'll never shut me up. You'll be like, God, how long are we on here? We haven't got enough hours in the day for this. What are you going on here? Shut up now, stop. And I'll be...
See, that's fantastic. But see, we'll have to have a moderator, just like when I had, Luke on and I asked you, like, sometimes we just get to chat and then we just lose track of time. So we can figure that out.
Right.
But anyway,
right. We'll do that. Should we go to music? And then we've got the news. Right. Who's on next?
We are going to listen to the chorus, Catch Me When I Fall.
Very much so. Speak to you next week, gorgeous.
All right. Have a good week, hon.
Thanks for calling. Adios.